You ever have one of those memories that just pops up and hits you right in the gut? Like some old story you can't quite shake off, no matter how many years go by. Yeah, well, for me, it all started with a girl named Amora, this quiet kid with big eyes and two neat braids. The kind of girl who always drew flowers in the corners of her notebooks and spent her afternoons dreaming herself into the lives of brave children she read about. You know the type, and every morning, her mother would fuss around the house packing her things, a real whirlwind, and everyone in Lagos seemed to know Mosi. The business queen, the woman who had it all figured out, at least. That's what they said. But if you want to talk about pressure, let's talk about numbers. Because for Amora, numbers weren't just numbers. They were little monsters that hid under her bed and chased her through the day, and nothing. Not the fancy school, not the crisp uniform, not even the parade of private tutors could save her from that sinking dread when Mr. Bio, the math teacher with the tired smile, would call her name in front of the whole class. You ever sit there, heart pounding so loud you can't hear yourself think, eyes locked on a whiteboard that just won't make sense, and you know every kid is watching, waiting, maybe even hoping you'll mess it up? Amora lived for that feeling every single day. So there she is, standing with sweaty palms. Mr. Bio looking at her with this gentle patience, asking what 7 times 6 is, and Amora's mind is just blank, like someone wiped her clean, until finally she mutters, 25? And a snicker comes from the back, a giggle from the front, and Mr. Bio tries to help, breaks it down, and she gets to 42. But it's too late. The first answer is what everyone heard, and you know how kids are. They remember the wrong ones. That's when Samto, the class clown, jumps in with his "is 2 times 2 equal 22?" and the whole room erupts. Just absolute chaos. And Amora feels that shame crawl all over her, like she can't even sit down without everyone staring. After school, the whispers are like knives. Her mom's rich. How's she this bad at math? And Amora rides home clutching her bag, trying not to cry. But it catches up with her anyway. And when she steps into their beautiful, bright house, it just feels heavy, you know? Mosi, her mom, she's standing there all business, and the conversation turns into a lecture. You have tutors, you have books. Why aren't you paying attention? Amora tries to say she's trying, but trying isn't enough. And suddenly another session is set up, and the tutor comes, rattling off multiplication like it's nothing. But it all just slips through Amora's fingers, and when he's gone, she puts her head on the table and cries into her own arms. It's the next day when everything turns, though. The driver's late, so Amora waits outside the gate, and, needing air, she wanders down to this little park. Nothing fancy, just some trees and benches, a bit of quiet in the chaos. She sits, pulling out her homework, still shaking from the last math disaster, and tries to work through her sums. But even when she gets 8 times 7 right, she doubts herself and erases it. And suddenly a voice breaks the tension. You look like you want to fight the paper. She glances up and sees this boy, a little older, rough shirt, kind eyes, holding a bag of ground nuts. He keeps his distance, asks if he can help, and introduces himself as Chick, and something about his voice, soft, patient, makes Amora nod. So he sits, not too close, and shows her how to line up ground nuts, makes rows out of sticks, and lets her see the math, touch it, count it with her fingers, and for the first time, Amora actually gets it. Numbers become groups, not monsters. They keep going, and every answer builds a little more confidence, and she laughs out loud at her own success, and Chick tells her, "You're not stupid, you just needed the right door to walk through." That moment, that's the twist, right there, a simple kindness turning Amora's whole world around. But the world's not simple, is it? Because just as Amora starts to believe in herself, her mother shows up, sunglasses on, bodyguard in tow, and the whole scene goes tense, like cold water poured on a warm fire. Mosi's furious, yanks Amora away, warns Chick never to come near her again, and even as Amora pleads, her mom doesn't budge. "I'm only protecting you," she says, and back home, everything tightens. Guards are told to watch for Chick. Amora is told to stick to tutors, and though a new, better one is hired, it's just more of the same. Math is something to be afraid of, but you can't kill that memory, you know what I mean? Amora tries, but every time she picks up her homework, she thinks of ground nuts and patient hands, of learning at her own pace, and she can't let it go. Finally, one evening, she sneaks out, zips a bag of stones and buttons into her sweater, slips past the guards, and heads for the park, hoping Chick will be there. He is, and though he's cautious, they work through her questions, and the joy returns, brief but bright. That doesn't last, of course. The family driver and guard find them, this time making it clear that Chick's got to stay away, or the police get involved, and Amora can't hold back her tears. The next day, both kids go through their routines. Amora, quiet and tense at her fancy table, Chick and his little sister Ada hustling ground nuts in the market, counting coins and watching school kids walk by, holding on to the hope that one day they'll belong there again. And then comes the big reveal, the perspective shift you don't see coming. Turns out, Chick used to be the star math student, standing tall in his father's iron shirt, but after his dad died, everything crashed. His stepmother kicked him and Ada out. No money for school, no safe place to sleep, just the streets and a stubborn promise to keep learning, no matter what. You ever meet a kid who practices fractions in the dark under a bridge just to keep the knowledge alive? That's Chick. Meanwhile, Amora is still fighting her battles, failing surprise quizzes, getting whispered about at school, struggling with tutors who don't get her, and longing for that one moment of clarity that Chick gave her. One day, her mother overhears her talking to a friend about Chick, not knowing she's listening, and it shakes her up in a way she can't admit. That afternoon, she follows Amora to the park, hidden behind a hedge, and watches as Chick teaches her with buttons and stones, never touching, always respectful. Mosi sees the whole thing, the patience, the gentle way he teaches, and something finally shifts. That night, after a lot of quiet, Mosi does something she's never done before. She goes to the park alone, no guards, and sits with Chick and Ada. She admits she was wrong, that her fear blinded her, and listens as Chick tells his story. She hears how much he loves school, how much he wants Ada to have a real childhood, and how he doesn't want charity, just a chance. She invites them both to dinner, awkward at first, but slowly, walls come down, laughter fills the room, and they all learn together, building fractions in groups out of beans and buttons, letting fear melt away. Mosi doesn't stop there. She arranges for Chick and Ada to go back to school. New uniforms, a safe place to live, real work as Amora's tutor, dignity restored. For the first time, Chick feels the gate that closed on him swing open. Amora learns without fear. Ada finds her place at the table. And Mosi, watching it all, finally understands what her late husband once told her. When you help a child who wants to learn, you help the whole future. But the truth is, nothing in this city is ever simple. There will always be another parent who worries, another child who's left outside the gate, another boy counting coins by a market stall, waiting for someone to see his worth. The story doesn't end with one family's good deed. It's a door opening, yeah, but there's still 1,000 more that need to be unlocked. So I gotta ask, where do you stand on this? What does real justice look like to you? Is it enough to help one child? Or do we owe each other something bigger? Something that reaches past the gates and the guards and the fears we carry? Share your thoughts, because honestly, this is a story we're all still writing together.